Most food items have disappeared from the market and they are not available even after payment of huge sums. Banks are closed and people are unable to withdraw their own money. Fuel is in scarcity and even senior government officials are not getting it easily. All the fuel stations have armed forces deployed to control any untoward situation. Many families don't know how they are going to survive further. Many are thinking of migrating to India. As we all know, this is the plight of Sri Lanka now. Interestingly, this country had a surplus economy till 2017-18 and the entire financial system has collapsed in just 4 years. Few experts have blamed the 2019 Easter bombings, COVID outbreak or ban on chemical fertilizers as the reasons. But there are more things to blame. A family-run governance where 3 brothers are running the country as President, Prime Minister and Finance Minister was a major contributor to the policy failure which led to this crisis. Welcome to Kaumudy Global and let us see the options before President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to counter this crisis and bail the country out of the present mess. The Sri Lankan government must make adequate policies to curb imports. It may be a temporary arrangement till the economy bounces back to its previous state, but is extremely essential to save precious foreign reserves. We know the most important reason for this economic downturn was policy paralysis, where a family-run government ignored the signs leading to the collapse of its financial setup. Hence, adequate restructuring in the government is required, where others, including opposition leaders, also be made part of this decision-making process. Declaring a nationwide emergency or arresting people opposing the government will not work. Next, one of the major reasons which reduced the agricultural output of the country by half was the chemical fertilizer ban. Such decisions are to be planned over the long term and in a phased manner. Many policies and orders with damaging effect need to be revoked so that the country has a chance of bouncing back. Next is austerity measures. The government in Colombo need to impose strong economic policies where the emphasis should be on more income generation while expenditures are to be curtailed. One of the major source of expenditure is Sri Lankan military, which still has over 4.5 lakhs personnel. It may have been relevant earlier, but after the Sri Lankan civil war, their numbers should have been curtailed as being an island country. Sri Lanka has fewer external threats. Next is bailout package from IMF. Now, it is a welcome news that Sri Lanka has decided to approach IMF for a bailout package and rollover of its loans. It may be tough for the government to implement policies and instructions of the International Monetary Fund, but it will save the country from a major economic calamity. Rollover of loans will also provide a new lease of life to its economy. Next is aid from other countries. China has already accorded a 2.5 billion USD package, while India extended a similar amount of credit line to buy essential commodities. Sri Lanka can ask other countries also to help the nation in these times of crisis. It can also ask for humanitarian aid from other countries apart from financial ones. Next, countering tax evasion and corruption. One of the main reasons for the revenue drop for the government was increasing corruption and tax evasion. Like our western neighbor Pakistan, retired generals have made their deep inroads into the Sri Lankan economy too and are sitting at top positions in the government and the industry. Politicians too have formed a significant part of the industrial setup of Sri Lanka. These factors have contributed to a major rise in corruption and tax evasion in Sri Lanka over the last few years. Strict measures are required to be implemented by the Rajapaksa government to curb these practices. Next, negotiating with financial institutions. Another immediate relief can be brought if the government talks to various financial institutions about its debt servicing. It can ask them for a haircut, a rollover, or relaxing the payment terms or reduce the interest rates. More revenue generation, exports and trade. To bring in precious foreign reserves, the Sri Lankan government has to put more emphasis on its exports and trade. Further, it can also remove trade barriers towards its export and impose more barriers on imports so that its trade balance can be improved. There are certain commodities like tea powder and spices which can play a vital role in getting forex in Sri Lanka. Next is tourism. Historically, tourism has been a major source of revenue for Sri Lanka and contributed to its GDP significantly. COVID-related curbs are getting over and it is the right time for the Sri Lankan government to sell its tourism potential to the world.